Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I am the reporter of Chapter 1. It's all about A Hero is Born.
A Hero is Born, 1861. I was born in Calamba on the 19th of June, 1861 between 11 and 12 o'clock at night, a few days before the full of the moon, by Dr. Jose Rizal. Sinabi ni Dr. Jose Rizal na ipinanganak siya between the 11 and 12 o'clock at night, a few days before bago sumapit ang bilog na buwan. Dr. Jose Rizal, the greatest hero of the Philippines, was a many-splendored genius. Ang ibig sabihin nun, si Dr. Jose Rizal ay marami siyang kakayahan, galing at talino sa iba't ibang bagay. He was richly lowered by God with superb intellectual. Ang ibig sabihin nun, siya ay biniyayaan ng Panginoon ng superb. Ang ibig sabihin ng superb ay excellent, no? Napaka-excellent yung kanyang talino. Moral, no? Maaaring siya ay mabait na tao, matulungin sa kapwa, and physical qualities, no? Maaaring meron siyang kagandahang itsura, no? Matangkad, no? Maputi ang kanyang kutis at iba pang kagandahan ng physical qualities. Truly, he ranks with the world's geniuses. He was an anthropologist, botanist, businessman, cartographer, dramatist, and so on and so forth. Talagang napakatalino ni Dr. Jose Rizal. Ito na yung tinatawag na many-splendored. Marami siyang kakayahan, talino sa iba't ibang bagay. No? 37 professions, no? Including traveler and zoologist. More than all this, he was a patriot. Meaning, he supports his country. No? Siya ay dumidepensa sa mga problema, sa mga kalaban ng bansang Pilipinas. A hero, no? Siya ay pambansang bayani and martyr, unlike many geniuses. Ibig sabihin ng martyr, siya ay namatay sa kapakanan ng kanyang bansa. Isinaalang-alang ang sarili. Dahil si Dr. Jose Rizal ay namatay sa Spanish execution. He consecrated his God-given talents and even sacrificed his own life for the redemption and welfare of his people. Verily, a man of his heroism and versatility appears but once in the history of any nation. No? Consecrated, talagang isinalalay ni Dr. Jose Rizal ang kanyang talento, buhay na binigay ng Diyos sa kanya, para lamang sa kalayaan ng kanyang bayan sa pagmamalupit ng Spanish people before. No? At katotohanan ang kanyang kabayanihan at karamihang function sa iba't ibang bagay ay mag-a-appear, no? Sa kanyang pangalan. Ito ay ang kanyang legacy. But ito ay isang beses lamang nangyari in the history of any nation. The world when Rizal was born. In 1861, the year when Rizal was born, the Philippines was browsing redolently beneath the shadow of the cross. Pax Hispanica reigned over the entire archipelago. The people, despite their bondage to Spain, were enjoying their serene, simple and Christian way of life. Comparatively speaking, they were better off than the subject peoples in the English, Dutch and Portuguese colonies during that age. Philippines was browsing, no? Ang ibig sabihin nito, talagang payapa, untroubled country ang Pilipinas during this time, no? Pax Hispanicam reigned over the entire archipelago. Ibig sabihin, wide yung peaceful na nangyayari during this time, no? The people, despite their bondage to Spain, no? Sa kabila ng being slave ng mga Filipino people before, ay ini-enjoy nila ang kanilang pamumuhay and Christian way of life. Sa kabila nito, ay talagang mas magaling manalita ng English, no? Ang mga Filipino people kaysa sa mga Dutch and Portuguese colonies. Ang ibig sabihin ng colonies, itong grupo na ito ay mga mananakop sila during that age. The Spanish Governor-General then was a good militarist. General Jose Lemery, whose achievement worthy of historical citation was establishment of the politico-military governor of the Visayas and Mindanao. No bloody Muslim piratical raid, no serious native uprising, no frightful upsurge of banditry, and no threat of foreign invasion marred. Sa pamumuno ni Governor General Jose Lemery na isang good militarist, no bloody Muslims piratical, meaning walang pagpapatay pagmamalupit sa mga Muslims, no serious native uprising, walang an act of rebellion, walang pagre-rebelde, no frightful upsurge of banditry, walang mga katakot-takot o kakilakilabot na nangyayari, and no threat of foreign, no? Kahit sa mga dayuhan ay walang pagmamalupit. Lahat pantay-pantay at may kapayapaan during this age. Beyond the frontiers of the Philippines, the world was seething in the throes of political strifes, social upheavals, and international intrigues. Gargantuan China was prostrate, impotent to stop the predatory Western powers who were busy looting her riches. Her futile wars with England and France were ended by the infamous Conventions of Peking, October 22, 1860, in which she lost more territories and was forced to grant more commercial concessions to the imperialist foreign devils. To worsen matters for the tottering Manchu dynasty, the Taiping Rebellion 1850-1864 was ravaging the rich provinces south of the Yangtze. The imperialist Western powers, flushed with their victories in China, tried to make a repeat performance in the Japan, whose doors was unlocked in 1854 to the world by the American Commodore Matthew C. Perry. Their efforts were, however, foiled by the valiant Japanese people, whose Bushido spirit outmatched the intruders' superior firepower. In Indochina, the French troops of Emperor Napoleon III, strongly aided by Filipino soldiers from Manila, were smashing down enemy's resistance. In 1858, Saigon was captured by the combined Filipino-French forces, and 4 years later, France acquired Chongqing, China, by fire and sword. The British Raj or rule all over the subcontinent of India and beyond the western frontiers to Burma. The destructive Sepoy Mutiny of 1857 last serious resistance of British imperialism in India was suppressed at a staggering cost of money and human lives. England had to fight three Burmese wars, 1824 to 26, 1862 to 63, and 1885 to 86 to subdue Burma. In January 1861, Benito Juarez, Indian-blooded hero, entered Mexico City at the head of his victorious Indian and Mexican troops and proclaimed the restoration of Mexican independence. Archduke Maximilian of Austria, who had dreamed of ruling Mexico with the help of French bayonets, was executed. March of 1861 saw the emancipation of the serfs in Russia by Caesar Alexander II. The following month of civil war exploded in the United States over the slavery question and the issue of succession. Europe was in turmoil. The German states were being forged into one nation by Bismarck, notwithstanding Austria's opposition. South of the Alps, Cavour and Garibaldi, in defiance of Austria's might, were rallying the Italians to unite and fight for Italia Redenta. In France, the Second Napoleonic Empire, beset by domestic and foreign troubles and misgoverned by Napoleon III, was crumbling to pieces. Only England, of all the great powers, was experiencing relative peace and prosperity. Under the able rule of Queen Victoria, she defeated Russia in the Crimean War 1853 to 56, acquired rich colonies in the east, and attained a new height of glory in diplomacy and literature. Spain, unlike England, fared ill under the rule of a woman, Queen Isabella II, 1833 to 1868. She had lost her rich colonies except Cuba and Puerto Rico in the New World. Her decadence was accelerated by the chronic Carlist War, the ruinous political squabbles, and the bungling policies of her inept monarch. Such was the global situation at the time of Rizal's advent. The birth of a hero. Near midnight of Wednesday, June 19, 1861, when the Philippines was in deep slumber, a frail baby boy was born to the Rizal family in Calamba, Laguna. It was a moonlit night, being a few days before the full of the moon. Tulad ng sinabi ko in my first part of my report, ipinanganak si Jose Rizal near midnight of Wednesday, June 19, 1861, bago sumapit ang bilog na buwan. The delivery was exceedingly difficult, no? Talagang mahirap yung paglabas ni Dr. Jose Rizal mula sa sinapupunan ng kanyang ina na si Teodora, no? And the mother almost died, no? Talagang ito'y muntik niyang ikamatay. Her seemingly miraculous survival was attributed to Our Lady of Peace and Good Voyage. Years later, Jose Rizal recorded in his boyhood memoirs, "It was a Wednesday, and my arrival in this valley of tears would have cost my mother her life had she not vowed to the Virgin of Antipolo that she would take me on pilgrimage to that shrine." The baby boy was baptized by Rev. Rufino Colantes in the Catholic Church of Calamba on June 22, 1861, 3 days after his birth. Ang ibig sabihin ng pagbabaptis, ito na yung practices ng Catholic Church. Ito na yung paglulublob sa tubig, maaaring ito ay pagdadalisay, no? At nangyari ito 3 days after ng kapanganakan ni Dr. Jose Rizal. His godfather was Rev. Pedro Casañas. He was named Jose by his pious mother in honor of Saint Joseph. It was customary for Catholic parents to name their children after the saints. No? Ito ay customary. No? Pinangalanan ni Teodora ang kanyang anak na si Jose Rizal ng Jose dahil ito ay practice, no, ng Catholic Church na pangalanan ng nanay ang kanyang anak bago pangalanan ng mga santo. The full name of the baby boy who was destined to become the greatest genius and hero of the Philippines was Jose Protasio Rizal Mercado y Alonso Realonda. Maaaring kilala lang natin, no, ang ating pangbansang bayani na si Dr. Jose Rizal, no, at ang kanyang mga legacy. Yun lang yung alam natin, but ito yung kanyang real name, no? Maaaring ngayon lang nating nalaman ang kanyang complete name na siya pala si Jose Protasio Rizal Mercado y Alonso Realonda. Parents, Jose was the 7th of the 11 children, no? Siya ay pang-7 sa 11 anak ng kanyang mga magulang na si Francisco Mercado Rizal and Teodora Alonso Realonda. Both father and mother were model Filipino parents, devotedly religious, educated, industrious, affectionate but strict, hospitable and civic-spirited. Talagang tinitingala itong mga parents ni Dr. Jose Rizal. Sila ay model Filipino parents. Talagang hindi nakakapagtaka kung bakit ganito nila pinalaki si Dr. Jose Rizal na isa sa mga pinakamatalinong bayani. The hero's mother, Teodora, was born in Manila on November 8, 1826 and died in Manila on August 16, 1911 at the age of 85. A graduate of Santa Rosa College, she was a talented woman with high culture, business ability, and literary gift. High culture yung status niya na. Ang ibig sabihin, siya ay upper class. Business ability, no? Siya ay business woman. And literary gift, no? Siya ay binigyan ng kahiligan o kaalaman sa iba't ibang uri ng libro. Dr. Rizal, loving her as much as his father said of her, "My mother is more than a woman of ordinary culture. She knows literature and speaks Spanish better than I. She is a mathematician and has read many books." Ito na yung sinasabing literary gift. Aside from helping her husband in farming and business, she looked after the education and moral training of her numerous children. Bukod pa doon, tinutulungan din ni Teodora ang tatay ni Jose Rizal na si Francisco sa kanyang farming at business. At siya ay responsableng ina sa kanyang mga anak. The Rizal children. God blessed the marriage of Francisco Mercado Rizal and Teodora Alonso Realonda with 11 children, 2 boys and 9 girls. These children were as follows. Both parents of Dr. Jose Rizal were blessed. No? Biniyayaan sila ng 11 anak. 2 rito ay lalaki at 9 rito ay mga babae. At si Dr. Jose Rizal ay pang-7 sa 11 anak ng kanyang mga magulang. Ang panganay rito ay si Saturnina. She was the oldest of the Rizal children. Pasiano. He was the older brother of Dr. Jose Rizal. Narcisa. She married Antonio Lopez, a school teacher of Morong, Rizal. Olympia. She married Silvestre Ubaldo, a telegraph operator from Manila. Lucia. She married Mariano Herbosa of Calamba. Maria. She married Daniel Faustino Cruz of Binian, Laguna. And of course, Dr. Jose Rizal, the lucky seven in a family of 11 children. He married Josephine Bracken, a pretty Irish from Hong Kong. And next to him, Concepcion. She died at the age of 3. Josefa. She did not marry, she died an old maid. Trinidad. She died an old maid like Josefa. Soledad. She was the youngest of the Rizal children. She married Pastaleon Quintero of Calamba. So these are the Rizal children. The children of Francisco Mercado Rizal and Teodora Alonso Realonda. Ancestry of Rizal. Jose Rizal, like a typical Filipino, was of mixed ancestry. In his veins flowed the bloods of both East and West, Negrito, Indonesian, Malay, Chinese, Japanese, and Spanish. Ito na yung mga dugong dumadaloy sa ating pambansang bayani na si Dr. Jose Rizal, no? Came from his ancestry. Ang ibig sabihin ng ancestry, kanyang mga ninuno. Meron siyang dugong Negrito, Indonesian, Malay, Chinese, Japanese, and Spanish. Rizal's paternal great-great-grandfather was a Chinaman named Domingo Lamco, a native of Chencho, China's city of spring. His father, Francisco, was a great-grandson of Lamco. Both his father's father and grandfather had been capitains, town mayors of Binyan. Ang tatay ni Rizal na si Francisco, ang kanyang lolo ay isang Chinaman na si Domingo Lamco. Isa siyang native of Chencho. Ang ibig sabihin ng Chencho ay China City of Spring. Si Francisco ay great-grandson ni Lamco. Ang ibig sabihin ng great-grandson ay pinakadakilang apo o pinakamamahal na apo. Ang tatay ni Francisco at ang kanyang lolo ay naging captains of Binyan. Ang ibig sabihin ng captains ay town mayors. It is said that on the maternal side, Rizal's ancestor was Lakandula, last Malayan king of Tondo. Meaning, in the Rizal's mother side, meron silang namanang pangalan galing sa mga pre-colonial or yung mga mananakop katulad ng mga Spaniards. A maternal great-great-grandfather was Eugenio Ursua of Japanese blood. Jose's mother, Teodora, belonged to a clan of gifted men. Her brothers Gregorio, Manuel, and Jose were men of unusual talents. Ang nanay ni Rizal na si Teodora ay kabilang sa mga pinagpalang tao. At ang kanyang mga kapatid na si Gregorio, Manuel, and Jose na meron silang unusual talents. Ang ibig sabihin ng unusual talents ay bibihira lamang, no? Ang biniyayaan ng ganitong talento. Wala masyadong nakakagawa nito. Her father, Lorenzo Alberto Alonso, was an engineer who was awarded by Spain with the coveted decoration of Knight of the Grand Order of Isabella the Catholic. Her maternal grandfather was Manuel de Quintos, a prominent Manila lawyer. Her paternal grandfather, Capriano Alonso, was a Capitan of Binyan. In 1849, when Governor Narciso Claveria ordered the Filipino families to choose new surnames from a list of Spanish family names, si Governor Narciso Claveria ay nag-utos siya para sa mga Pilipino na pumili ng apelyido from a list of Spanish family names. The children of Lorenzo Alberto Alonso adopted the name Realonda. Hence, Teodora Alonso became Teodora Alonso Realonda. The name Rizal. The original name of the Rizal family was Mercado. It was a surname adopted in 1731 by Domingo Lamco, the paternal Chinese ancestor. In English, it means market. Evidently, Lamco liked it because it appealed to his business nature and also because it reminded him of his Chincho ancestor who were mostly merchants. Ang merkado ay adopted lamang ni Domingo Lamco, na ito ay nangangahulugang market. Ito ay gusto niya dahil nag-a-appeal ito sa kanyang business nature at nagpapaalala rin sa kanyang mga Chincho ancestors na talagang mga businessman and businesswoman. In the year 1849, as mentioned above, Governor Claveria issued a decree directing all Filipino families to choose new surnames from a list of Spanish family names. The purpose of this gubernatorial decree was to Hispanize the Filipino surnames which were difficult for the Spanish authorities to pronounce, much less to remember. Ang direktang pag-utos ni Governor Claveria sa mga Filipino families na pumili from the list of Spanish family names ay to Hispanize, para maging tunog Espanyol ang pangalan ng mga Pilipino. Dahil napakahirap sa mga Spanish authorities na ito ay bigkasin at tandaan. Jose's father Francisco scanned the list of Spanish surnames sent to Calamba, such as Cruz, Santos, Ramos, Rivera, and etc. He did not like these surnames. Being a man of independent character, he chose his own surname Rizal, which was not in the list recommended by the Spanish authorities. He considered this new family name as more fitting for his farming clan than Mercado, which signifies market. Ang tatay ni Rizal na si Francisco ay iniskan itong the list of Spanish surnames at ipinadala sa Calamba. Ngunit hindi niya ito nagustuhan. Being a man of independent character, pumili siya ng kanyang sariling surname. Ito ay ang Rizal, na hindi kabilang sa list recommended by the Spanish authorities. At tinuring niya itong family name na more fitting sa kanyang farming than Mercado na nangangahulugang market. The term Rizal came from the Spanish word Rizial, which means green field or new pasture. Ito ang piniling surname ni Francisco na tatay ni Rizal dahil ito ay nangangahulugang green field or new pasture na may uugnay sa kanyang farming clan. The Rizal family. The Rizal family was one of the richest families in Calamba during the times prior to its persecution by the friars. Ang pamilya ni Rizal ay isa sa mga pinakamayamang pamilya sa Calamba. Rizal's parents, by their industry and frugality, were able to honestly build up a large fortune. By present-day standards, they were rich. They were the first to build a large stone of house in Calamba. The first to own a karwahe, horse-drawn carriage. The first to have a home library, and the first to educate their children in the colleges of Manila. Sa yaman ng parents ni Rizal, kaya nilang magpatayo ng large fortune. At sila rin ang unang nagpatayo ng stone house in Calamba. At unang nagkaroon ng karwahe or house-drawn carriage. At unang nagkaroon ng home library. At ang unang pinag-aral ang kanilang mga anak in the colleges of Manila. The Rizal family raised rice, corn, and sugar on large tracts of land rented from the Dominican state of Calamba. It operated a sugar mill, a flour mill, and a homemade ham press. It engaged successfully in the dye and sugar business and in the barter trade, exchange of products with other towns. Theodora, the hero's mother, owned a store in town which sold many articles of trade needed by the people. She was a successful businesswoman, and the profits of this store augmented the family income. In due time, the Rizal family was able to purchase another stone house in Calamba. This was another proof of the family affluence. Not only was the Rizal family one of the Calamba's richest families, it was withal highly esteemed and respected, combining wealth and culture, hospitality and charm. It participated in all social and religious activities in the community. Ang nanay ni Rizal na si Theodora ay isang successful business woman. At higit pa doon, ang Rizal family was able to purchase other stone house in Calamba. Meron silang kakayahang bumili ng mga konkretong bahay in Calamba. Ito ay patunay na ang kanilang pamilya ay mayaman. Sila rin ay highly esteemed and respetadong pamilya. Don Francisco and Doña Theodora were gracious hosts to all visitor priests. Alvarez, Lieutenant of Guardia Civil, Spanish officials, and Filipinos during holidays, such as Christmas, town fiesta, and other occasions. Beneath the Rizal roof, all guests, irrespective of their color, social position, or economic status, were treated equally with all courtesy and hospitality. The Rizal home. The house of Rizal family was one of the distinguished stone houses in Calamba during the Spanish times. It was rectangular in shape, of adobe stone and hardwood, with a red-tiled roof. Behind it were the poultry yard full of turkeys and chickens and the garden of tropical fruit trees, atis, balimbing, makopa, papaya, santol, tampoy at etc. Si Francisco at Theodora were gracious hosts, no? Talagang pinakitaan nila ng kagandahang treatment ang kanilang mga visitors. Tulad na lamang ni Alferez, na Lieutenant of the Guardia Civil, at ang mga Spanish officials, at ang mga Pilipino during holidays such as Christmas, town, fiesta, at iba pang mga okasyon. At lahat ng mga visitors na ito ay were treated equally with all courtesy and hospitality. The Rizal Home. The house of the Rizal family was one of the distinguished stone houses in Calamba during the Spanish times. Ang ibig sabihin ng distinguished ay talagang successful yung pagpapatayo ng kanilang bahay in Calamba during the Spanish times. It was ay rectangular. Ito ay parihaba na mayroong adobe stone and hardwood with a red-tiled roof. Behind it were the poultry yard full of turkeys and chickens, and the garden of tropical fruit trees, atis, balimbing, makopa, papaya, santol, and tampoy. Ang ibig sabihin ng poultry is full of chickens and turkeys, manukan, or mga ducks, pato, at mga prutas na katulad ng atis, balimbing, makopa, papaya, santol at tampoy. It was a happy home where parental affection and children's laughter reigned. By day, it hummed with the jubilant noises of children at play. By night, it echoed with the dulcet notes of family prayers. Both parents and children were harmoniously united by strong ties of affection and understanding. Such a wholesome home naturally bred a wholesome family, and such a family was the Rizal family. Ang ibig sabihin nun, talagang happy home ang family ni Dr. Jose Rizal during this time. Para bagang may mga naglalarong kabataan sa kanilang loob ng tahanan. At sa gabi, sila ay nagdarasal at ito ay paulit-ulit na naririnig. At sila ay merong pag-uunawaan sa isa't isa. At yan ang family ng ating pambansang bayani, si Dr. Jose Rizal.
So that's all for my report. Wa shukran. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.